Hi everyone, I'm Shaleni with Remax Real Estate Center here in Milton, and I'm joined with mortgage broker extraordinaire Matt Fugere.
Close enough, Matt Fugere.
Oh shoot!
Oh shoot! From Fugere Mortgage. I'm in Milton as well. Nice to meet you, Shaleni. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for being joining me today. What we wanted to talk about today, because I've been getting a number of questions, and you probably have been too, Matt, about the federal budget, the 2019 federal budget announcement, and the CMHC incentives. They included some first-time home buyer incentives, and I just thought it would be a good opportunity for both of us to sort of hop on and talk about what impact that might have to clients, if any. And I think we both sort of share a mutual, feeling about the minimal, impact that it's going to have.
Smokes and mirrors, you called it.
Smokes and mirrors. Yeah, I think that's the best way to sort of describe the announcement. If you didn't hear what the announcement was, it is essentially that the government in September, they have announced an advance of up to 10%, I guess, of the purchase price of a home if it's new construction, and 5% on resale. And the specifics of it, though, really haven't been.
No, they haven't said anything, and really. It's, somebody was asking me, is it like a loan? And as far as we know right now, the way it's been positioned is an equity stake in your house. And the idea is that, how many of us want to have an equity stake how many of us want to give out an equity stake of our own house to the government? And at least the CMHC, I did this really cool little drawing because I'm quite an artist.
Nice.
This is a house with CMHC, and I use the chimney because let's say that this is annoying. Let's say that the 5% or 4.5% for the CMHC is like eventually kind of goes up in smoke because you pay it off, right? It's part of the mortgage, and you'll pay interest on that 4.5% over the life of the mortgage. But if you see it as smoke coming out of the house, it eventually leaves, and you haven't given away equity in the long term to the government. In the first year, if you were to sell your house a year after, and you'd be 5% short because you wouldn't have paid off a whole lot of it. But this new offer, it's like, no, it's not just smoke leaving the house now. They actually will own a percentage of your house.
Yeah.
And most people are not thrilled to have the government own your house. And especially because we don't even know yet if they're going to ask interest on that money, or are they going to say, hey, that was 10% 5 years ago. And now, because of appreciation, that 40,000 is now worth 65,000. And that's just things that I think people are wondering, and even us, like, which is why so far it doesn't look like that great of a deal, and it's surely isn't stimulating the market right now. A week after it's been announced.
No, my understanding is supposed to take place starting in September, and the details of it being like, is it a shared equity loan? Is it a zero interest loan? Like you're saying, we don't know the details, and I believe that would have some impact on people, whether they're going to decide to even go for it.
Here's one thing for sure: it's not going to be 0%.
Yeah.
Our fancy government, even CMHC, which used to be already pretty high. And CMHC has a very, very low default rate for an insurance company, and they raised them last few years when the stress test rules were changed, and they upped those premiums as well, even though they're making plenty of money already. So I doubt the government's going to lend Canadian people $40,000 interest free.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I think it's a max income of $120,000, and then 4 times your income. So max loan amount, I guess, of $480,000, which would mean you have a purchase somewhere between $500,000 to $600,000. So for us, like the in Milton and in the GTA, $500,000 to $600,000. It's not really going to help a lot of people with the qualifications, which I think is really what the core of the issue is right now, helping people get their foot in the door, right?
You're 100% right. And that's where in the news last week, when the government read the new rules, and they kind of gave you different scenarios of how much Canadians would be saving per month. And that's what they're doing, is helping Canadians save. But you and I know that the hardest part about getting buyers into homes is not that the client can't afford the payment on a $600,000 home, is that the requirements to qualify for that home have been pushed so high that now they can't qualify based on the requirements, but they could afford the payments.
Mm-hmm.
So the government telling them, hey, it's going to cost you $200 less, is not necessarily what people were needing. They were needing some more flexible guidelines to make them able to jump into those offers and get into those homes and just buy them. Whereas now it's not, doesn't look like it's going to be a huge help for them. I mean, and then they added the RSP, which is, you know, 35,000 instead of 25,000.
No, and I think the target, like for the first-time home buyers, if they're trying to help millennials out, I can't say that there's a ton of them that are going to have, you know, that 35,000 sitting in their RRSP, you know, at that time when they want to get into the market either. So I don't know how far an impact that's going to have for folks either. And you made a good point too about, you know, when we were talking about the qualifications, because I think what everyone was hoping for was that they were going to, you know, increase an amortization period for first-time home buyers, or that they would even just sort of get rid of the stress test. Because you made a really good point, like that rate's locked in for 5 years in most cases when people go with a fixed.
Yeah. Yeah, and even some of our lenders on variable will even will lock in the payments on what it starts. So even if the split within the payment would change, like sometimes the payment is going to stay the same variable. So that's we were hoping for 30 years at least for some of the buyers. We see that for, you know, that probably would have pushed maybe the market a bit too aggressive if they would have brought back 30 years for everything. But at least for first-time buyers or people trying to buy with 5 or 10% down, that would have been more helpful for sure to get in the market.
Well, I think overall, you know, we both sort of share the same sentiment. I don't think, you know, if people were sort of waiting, you know, for September to, you know, because that will help them, I really don't think it's going to have a far-reaching impact on folks. And I don't think in tune, it's also going to heat up the market, like I said, especially in GTA, where, you know, if to get into a $500,000 or $600,000 property, you know, in Toronto, you're looking definitely at condos. And in Milton here, it would be like a condo or like a, you know, a 3-story townhome, really.
It's going to push our families that want to buy. And, you know, we've had a few, we did work with one family last spring, right, that they had to move out to outside of Hamilton to try to find something for their family, because that's what those new rules, and this is still going to keep on doing, is pushing families out of the GTA or the, you know, the bigger cities and sending them on the outskirts.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me today and just having that quick conversation about that. If you have any questions,
remember my artistic.
It's beautiful. You did a really good job.
Do you want the government to own part of your house?
No, I don't think so. I certainly have no interest in that. I think, you know, when people really understand, once the details logistically come out about how the program's going to roll down, I think a lot of people will probably opt not to participate as well.
If it's even there, because who knows who's going to be in power by the time. Well,
that's the thing, right? Like we're in an election year too. So I'm sure there'll be lots of other exciting announcements coming out as we get closer to that.
Thanks for having me. Hopefully this helps people. If you guys have any questions, just don't hesitate to call, email, text.
Yeah, I'll make sure that we got your number on there and email and everything. Thank you so much for your input, and we'll talk to everybody soon.
All right. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.